Thanks for watching my video today, folks. I have an interesting topic for discussion. Just recently, I had a friend of mine. It's probably 79, 80 years old. And, we got talking about different things. And he was saying that, he has a real problem. And his problem is the fact he's gained some weight. And, he basically put it in a nutshell. And he said, you know what? He said, I'm an 80-year-old bass fisherman. I've been on diets. They don't work. Tried to exercise. I hate exercise. So how the hell am I supposed to lose any weight? Be a lot more comfortable bass fishing if I could just trim down a little bit. Remember, I'm 80 years old. So, I thought about it a few minutes and, I reminded him I'm not a doctor. I'm not a clinician of any type. I'm no expert on anything to do with weight loss. But I can tell him, and I can tell you what worked for me. Now, I didn't weigh probably quite as much as he did, or he does, but I was definitely overweight. And if you look at the national statistics of what I should weigh for my height, I should weigh 157 pounds. Bullshit. I mean, there wouldn't be anything but a bag of bones if I only weighed 157 pounds. I think I weighed that when I was in fifth or sixth grade. But I can definitely lose some weight. And I took it pretty seriously 2 or 3 months ago. Did a little research, and kind of like my buddy, I don't like to exercise. I don't really want to exercise. I've done a lot of that in my lifetime, and it's good for a week or two, and then you get bored with it. You get bored with the same exercises. Not to mention the fact that it gets harder the older you get. And I've tried diets. My God, I've tried a lot of different diets. And again, those work for a few days. They don't usually work as long as exercises, but they work for a few days, and you start feeling good about yourself. And along comes that fresh baked chocolate cake or apple pie or bowl ice cream, and the diet goes right out the window. So what is the answer? Well, I have an easy solution, and it really is easy. And I don't claim to have discovered the idea. I just copied it from someone else. And as I've gotten more involved with it, I've found out that it's a pretty common approach to losing weight. And it's called intermittent fasting. And what that means simply is that it's a fast. It's when you stop eating for some period of time in a given day. Now, the recommendation is try to fast for 12 to 15 hours. That might sound hard, but you know what? It's really not. I mean, it's if you simply stop eating after you have dinner in the evening and you don't eat again until lunchtime, I mean, do the math. I mean, that comes out 15, 16, 17 hours. I've never been a big breakfast eater, so I don't really miss breakfast. Um, I do like coffee, and unfortunately, I like cream and sugar or milk and sugar in my coffee. And sugar is something you don't want to have during that 12 or 15 hours. It's a simple carbohydrate, but it kind of defeats the purpose because the goal here is to take your body, which is constantly running, providing energy based on simple and complex carbohydrates. You want it to run on those because that's where your energy comes from. But at some point you run out. And after about 8 or 9 hours, I guess, from what I understand, your body goes from burning those simple carbohydrate to actually burning fat. And it doesn't really burn the fat, it just converts the fat over into carbohydrates or sugars. So the whole point behind this is during that fasting period, you don't want to eat anything or drink anything that has simple carbohydrates or uh, complex carbohydrates. So again, my solution was I found a substitute for the sugar, and instead of using milk in my coffee or creamer, I've gone to actually a cream, whipped cream that I use in my coffee now, which has no sugar but lots of fat. And in this approach of intermittent fasting, the idea is to eliminate the carbohydrates, simple and complex, and replace them when you do eat with proteins and fats. And that's exactly what I, attempted to do. So for a period of about 2 months, maybe longer, 10 weeks, I've kind of been adhering to this fasting ritual, and I'm steadily losing about 2 pounds a week. Now, that's not a lot of weight. In fact, a lot of folks can go out here and lose 7 or 8 pounds just losing body, the water in your body. Um, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm actually burning fat. I can see it when I put on a pair of pants. I can see it, in my face being a little thinner. I've had other people notice it, but I'm down about 40 pounds. And, that's pretty good considering I haven't been working out and I haven't really been dieting. And, is it hard? No, not really. I don't really miss it. Uh, but there are some other things to take into consideration. When you fast, the longer you can fast, the better. Because once you get past that 9, 10, 11 hour stretch, then your body really goes into this accelerated burning process of the fat that's held within your body, converting it over to sugar and using it as fuel. So if you can go, potentially, if you could skip lunch and go from the time you finish eating dinner until the time you eat dinner again, you're looking at 20, 22, 23 hours. That's an even better fast. Now, I haven't tried to do that. Uh, I don't want to make things any harder than they are. And right now, fasting in the evening is probably the toughest for me because I'm used to just sitting there and eating pretzels and potato chips and ice cream and ice cream bars, anything is nailed down. I get the munchies, and I want to sit back, watch a little TV, and just eat stuff all night. So it's a little harder for me in the evening, but in the morning it's a piece of cake. I don't miss it. I drink my coffee. I'm good till about lunchtime, and then I start getting hungry again. But the thing that I wanted to mention, particularly to you bass fishermen, guys like me, when I'd go bass fishing, I seldom would take much from the way of food. I'd take a few crackers or just a couple of snack bars. And sometimes, my wife would make me a sandwich, but she hasn't made me a sandwich probably in the last couple of years because, quite honestly, I don't stay out there that long. But one thing I do tend to take along is those little Vienna sausages. Now, God knows I don't know where I got the idea to start eating these things, but they're a little bit addictive. And they're nothing more than really than little hot dogs. And they're probably not as healthy for you as little hot dogs. But an easy snack, you just pop the lid, 5 or 6 of them in there. You can pull them out with a fork, or you can use your pocket knife, or you just reach in there and grab them with your fingers. But it's a nice little snack while you're fishing. Unfortunately, it is loaded with complex carbohydrates. It's got everything in the world that's bad for you, including too much salt. So again, if you're taking those types of snacks, or maybe you're eating ho-hos or little Debbie's, all that stuff. I mean, I used to have a special place in the boat that I'd store that kind of stuff. And, You get out there, you don't catch any fish for a while. It's easy to just, start looking around for something to eat. That's what you got to be careful of. Now, again, I don't really like to eat while I'm fishing, so it's not real hard for me to not eat. But when I go out, I get up and go out in the morning, I'm done usually by lunchtime. And when I get home, I'm pretty hungry. And I've given it a good 12 to 15 hours of abstinence, not eating anything, not drinking anything with sugar in it. And I think I'm seeing a real difference from that. So my advice to my friend was try to do the same thing. If you're able to do it for 9 hours, for 12 hours, for 15 hours, every little bit helps. And although you won't see a major loss in weight, you will see a loss in weight over a period of time. And that's really all you can expect. That's the healthiest way to lose weight, and it probably makes the most sense. My wife asked me the other day, now that I've gone from 265 down to 227. And she asked me the other day if I was going to keep this up. And I said, it's really not that hard to fast after dinner and through the morning hours. So yeah, I'll probably keep it up. On the other hand, I'm not sure I really want to lose much more weight because then I'm going to have to go buy new clothes. I'm already cinching up my belt another notch or two that I didn't use in the past. But I am able to get into a few of my skinny clothes. So there's some good in there too. But I don't want to get back to where I was. And so to a certain extent, there is a little dieting that takes place here. I am trying to stay away from some of these sweets and salty snacks that I've indulged in so much in my lifetime. Trying to get a little healthier at the same time, trying to lose a little weight. So again, to that 80-year-old friend of mine, it's not that hard, buddy. You put a plan together and you work the plan. It's no different than the strategy you might use to go out tomorrow and try to catch some fish. You just put a little plan together and you stick with it. Anyway, that's my thoughts. You know, this isn't a Dear Abby column or Ann Landers deal. I'm just trying to help out my buddy, and in the process, there's probably a few guys out there that could use the same advice. So I'll pass it on to you. Take it for what it is. It's free advice, so it's about what it's worth. Hey, thanks for watching my video today. If you can, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Got some really interesting things I'm going to be talking about in the next week or so. And, I hope you'll stay tuned. If you have any comments, maybe you've got a little better approach, something that doesn't involve dieting and or exercises, skip the Ozempic, skip the drops. I know all about them. I'm not interested in using them. In my case, doctors have said it's probably not a good idea based on my current health conditions. A couple of my buddies are kind of in the same position. They've had some heart issues and some other issues, and doctors have kind of said, hey, probably not a good idea. So, although those are possibilities for some people, they just weren't for me. So I am aware of them though. So anyway, thanks again for watching the video. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you soon.